everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning team call. Excited to be with you. What an awesome week this has been. I want to give all the leaders a shout out. Wow. What an amazing job that you guys have done on the Cornerstone virtual office. And it's been neat to see the vision that you guys had for, community. And the leaders stepping up and really leading. It's just been awesome. So our new call schedule. Okay, we know we announced it last weekend, and this was the first week for it. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, starting at 9 a.m., the Cornerstone virtual office opens, and I mean, you can look at it as if it's just an all day long conference call, okay? Because really what it is you've got these leaders that are dedicated, just like this past week. They're going to get on and they're going to do their work in front of you, okay? Now, there's always going to be a leader that's going to be in the spotlight. And if you're brand new out there and you're struggling with some things, maybe you've just gotten your first batch of leads, maybe you're jumping on and, because the reason for the virtual office is to inspire you to imitate. It's to inspire you to take action. And so, if you're struggling with setting appointments, maybe you've gotten 10 people on the phone and you've not booked an appointment, it's really neat to be able to jump into a side room with one of our leaders, whether it's Claudia or Casey or Rob or Derek or, whoever it may be, but to jump in a side room and really get some help. And so, this is just hands-on. Like, I love this. There's a book, and I haven't mentioned this book in a long time. Okay. But I wouldn't put it in my top 3 reads, but I'm mentioning it after this long a time. So you guys know that I really enjoyed it. It definitely made an impact on me, but the book is called Talent Code. The book is called Talent Code. I'm just a huge believer. As I read that book, I'm a huge believer in how talent is created. I'm a huge believer in the 10,000 hour rule. Okay. So if you think you're going to start something and you're going to be good at it, I'm not saying that people don't pick it up faster than others. But for anything that I've ever been great at, maybe I had a talent early on. Maybe I had a little bit of desire early on. But it's been that process of, firing, that try, fail, and adjust. It's that becoming great. Okay. And that's just something in this industry that I think is even more true. Is it true in golf? Is it true in athletics? Is it true in almost anything? Is it the underlying truth of all success principles? I think so. But the talent code and what it takes to be great. And, in that book, it talked about, you look at these, maybe a dad stepping up to teach the soccer, right? I'm laughing at that because I was the parent when my kid was young. I was the parent that was volunteered to coach soccer. I had never played soccer. And I will tell you, the mistake that I made that was pointed out in that book was you look at a lot of soccer practices, and there's one ball, and in one amount of moment of time, there's one person taking action, actually touching the ball, right? Well, you got 8 or 9 other kids standing there watching. Okay, so what's going to happen to their attention span? What's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen to those kids. They're going to lose interest. Sorry, my collar's up. So they're going to lose interest really quick. And so in Talent Code, it talked about the mistake of that. And I think a lot of insurance agencies make that same mistake. And so the reason I love the virtual office is because every single kid has their own ball and every single kid is touching the ball multiple times. It's called picking up the phone, dialing, talking to somebody. When you talk to somebody, look at what happens. You read a phone script, whether the phone script, whether you think the phone script goes good or not, sometimes it's like, I remember when I was first starting my dials, I was so nervous that I would make a phone call and it would like, I would just go black. Like, wait a minute, like, I don't even know what I just said. I just like somebody answered and I'm blah, 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 what, and so it took a while for me to develop into a comfort zone where I felt like I owned my phone script and I felt like I tailored my phone script to human nature. And that's really when I started enjoying being on the phone, because I had mastered that. But I didn't master that by sitting in a classroom. I didn't master that by watching a YouTube clip from somebody that's never sold a life insurance policy. I mastered that because of touches on the ball. So anyway, that's my 2 cents today. I'm so excited that we're continuing with Bill Martin. Okay, guys, and I'm just going to say this. This is like we're on an up ramp. Okay. This is going into Phoenix Gold Standard Tour, guys. I'm just telling you, right now in the world of Equus, we're the most unlikely team to dominate that event, but we can dominate it. We can freaking dominate it. We've got the leaders to do it. We've got the leaders stepping up. And I'm excited to have Bill Martin just really plugging in with us every single week, because, Bill's been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And in addition to coaching on personal sales, he's also, guys, if you look at what's happened to Equus Financial and you look at the growth that they've experienced, he's at some point in time, I'd love to get Bill on a leaders only call and let him talk about actual growth. Because leaders have to be accountable for their growth. So, Bill Martin, we've got a lot to cover today, and we've got the time to do it. Welcome to our Thursday team call.
Well, how you doing, John? Good talking to you guys. And yeah, I remember that book, and it was eye-opening because it really levels the playing field when you read it and realize that you might be just inches away from being good as everybody else, right? It's interesting you bring that up because I had for this call this week, I encourage everybody to get on the producer playbook. I recorded it yesterday. It was with Deanna Cooper and Tanya Hughes. Why them? Because they've been number 1 and 2 for years in a row, right? I mean, Deanna Cooper issue paid 1.1 million last year and on pace to do the same this year. She's all right at 500,000 already issue paid, guys. We're not even just beginning of June. Issue paid, okay? And some people, the reason I had him on is I have people contact me. What are they doing? What do they say? They must be doing something different than I'm doing. So I got them on, and I had them both do their phone script, and we went through a basic overview of their presentation. How do you handle objections, etc. And you'll come to the conclusion why I strongly urge you to watch this. It's a longer one. It's probably one of my longer producer playbooks, is because you'll find out that they're human. They're really not doing anything that you can't do or you should be doing, okay? They're diligent about their activity and they get to work. However, in addition to that, they are spending money. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we don't have the money to get started. I'm just going to start on older leads. That's fine. I get it. Okay. But at some point, if you want to break out and start making some real income, you do have to get better leads so you can spend more quality time on the phone and get more quality people in front of you, right? Calling old leads is a way to get started. I get it. Okay. I understand. Did it many, many, many years. Okay. I had it in addition to everything else. But I really encourage you to watch this video and realize that you can do whatever they're doing. You're just going to have to be more diligent. Now, I guarantee you, when I remember talking to Deanna when we first got started, and leads were, I don't remember, John, what, $45 or whatever back in 16 or 17, whatever they were. It might have been 38, 40. And I can remember getting on the phone with her, and she would gripe, man. I can't afford this person not to pick up the phone, or I can't afford to lose this. I got to get this person. It's $40, Bill. Well, that was coming from the mentality that she was when she first got started, right? She came from she was a parole officer, making average income, and had never really ventured into the business world. Now, just for some clarity, she's probably dropping 3 to 4 thousand a week. Now, for those of you who are new with us and you just pick yourself up off the floor, so let's say that's $200,000 a year. She issued paid 1.1 million. Go out there and find any business. I challenge you to find any business to get that kind of return on your dollar. It's
Exactly.
impossible. It's the best return, and we're not even talking about overrides where she spends no money on leads, right? We're just talking on her own personal production. She just built another house. Okay, you guys understand that? It's her second house since she's been here. Second house that she's built since she's been here. Can you do it? Yes. Are you willing to do what she does? Well, that's up to you, right? I think I would be able to issue pay at the level she is right now when I was in the field, probably in the 700 at my work ethic, 800,000. I'm not at the million that she is. Because if I look at the hours she spends and she's not driving, doing virtual, I had 1,500 miles a week was my average in the field. So you add up the hours that you're in your car, not being productive. You're just driving down the road. The only thing I could do was talk to agents. So if I looked at that, with my work ethic back then, that's where I would be, okay, on personal production. She probably put more hours in than me, more than likely. And that's again, if we look at everybody's numbers and we check everybody out and we sit down and talk to people and you get two top producers right next to each other and have each one of them go through their schedule, there might be some nuances. They might be a little bit better at handling one or two objections, but overall, the difference is going to be what's their commitment to their work schedule, right? What are you committed to? One of the things that also came out and I wanted to cover today, and
Hey,
I think we're
Bill.
going to talk to Chuck, right? Go ahead.
Hey, Bill.
Yep.
So one point I want to make, and I want to make it in front of you because I want your thought process on
Sure.
this. So you mentioned the thing about, and this is something in my mind, and I've sometimes got a little weird mind. I think about probably things too much, but I have thought about so much like handling objections. How do I make Cornerstone like the number one, like if you wake any of Cornerstone's agents up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you give them the worst, toughest objection ever, and they're just going to spout it off. Now, here's my thing, okay? Because we have done call after call after call. And I will tell you, and it may just be my teaching, but I will just tell you, I don't think people have gotten better because we've taught it. I don't think people have gotten better at handling objections. What you just said, though, made me think of something, and maybe it was all of that thinking that produced this thought. Maybe the reason why somebody like a Deanna Cooper or a Tanya Hughes or a whoever, it could be a Claudia Matthew, but for maybe the reason they're better at handling an objection is because their investment and their number of appointments that they're going to do that week, it really just puts them in a like they don't care. Like they truly don't get like they're not as concerned with overcoming the objection, which automatically makes them better at handling the objection versus the guy that's got one appointment. And it's like, God, I got to get over. They're not interested, or they've already bought, or that. Like I've just got to get over this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting because I was just going to cover that subject. And we talked about it yesterday when I was talking to them, and that it certainly comes across, especially with Deanna. And I got to that point too. I know where she's at, and I got to that point. I've got other appointments. I'm not going to sit here and sell you on the idea that you need to protect your family. If I'm going down that road, I'm packing my bag and I'm leaving. And I'm not being a jerk about it. You're not a candidate for me. And when you get that mentality, John, handling objections is just a fly on your shirt sleeve. It doesn't mean anything. So what it really boils down to is your thought process, your tonality, and your confidence. When I was sitting down with people, the reason I could handle objections pretty easily is number one, I believed in what I'm doing. I had an agent one time telling me he was struggling, couldn't close. So one day I was talking to him, I said, tell me I said, let me ask you a question, just flat out. I'm just curious. I says, do you believe in life insurance? He goes, I really don't, Bill.
Mm.
I I just looked. I said, what'd you say? He says, I really don't. What are you doing here? I didn't know how to talk to him. Six kids, broke as a church mouse, and didn't believe in life insurance,
Uh,
right? And his kids were all 18 and under. I just told him to leave. I said, this isn't fair to anybody. It's not fair to us, for you, to your family. You just need to get out of this business because you're a fraud. And I said it in a kind way, I think, but I was pretty just blown away by it. So, number one, you have to believe everything in your core that what you're doing is correct. If you're sheepish about talking to somebody about getting an application in, that means you don't believe in what you're doing. If you believe after listening to them and you've discovered pain and you know that they want this and you're not being a little bit more aggressive, and I don't mean a jerk aggressive, I just mean let's get this going, assume the sale. I can remember, John, when I first got started, that I was thinking when my manager was telling me, Bill, this is an assumed sale, I was taken back by it. It was the thing that was making me holding me back is I wasn't assuming the sale. I was just, I'm not going to assume a sale. I have to sell them on it. They don't know that but then I started thinking about it, going, wait a minute, who on God's green earth would send in a request for coverage if they weren't interested? Hello? It just changed my whole thought process on how I looked at it. It allowed me to be released and just sit down and have conversations with people. And here's what I was going to say. This is one of my notes today. Too many times when people get an objection, John, what's the immediate reaction that they think? They start selling.
yeah.
Well, what happens in somebody's subconscious mind that you're talking to when you start selling? They get skeptical.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I have a salesman here.
Yeah.
That salesman's in front of me. Alert, alert, alert. Now their defense mechanisms goes up and there's this battle going on. I eliminated that. I never presented myself as a salesman. I presented myself as the guy that needs to take care of this for you. Some people, John, look at that as he's real aggressive or that's really forceful. Well, of course it is. These people sent a request in asking for help. We're not debating that. If I have to debate with a client whether or not they want to protect my family, they're not a candidate for me. I'm moving on. I'm not trying to force somebody to get started and help protect their family. So the number one thing you got to do is believe in what you're doing and also establish that they have a concern. Closing's simple. If they've told you that it's going to be a problem, if you establish pain, finding the pain in that household, I don't know how you can't close. I really don't know. Would I get people to think about it? Sure. And I got better at handling think about it objections. They're not saying no. They're not saying no. I just say, here's what I would say to them. I eventually just got to the point, be driving down my car, John, on the road, I'm going, I gotta get over this think about it thing. It's crazy. They're not saying no. So I talked to agents, I talked to Cheryl, and I remember one time I said, I said, I'm gonna try this. I say, hey, John, let me ask you a question. In your heart of hearts, is this something you're gonna do one way or the other?
Mm.
Just let me know one way or the other. And they'd go, well, yeah, we're definitely gonna do it. Then I said, well, what's the point of us getting back together then? I mean, if you're going to do it anyways, let's just see if we can get you qualified. And I am not kidding you. It literally turned my think about it's around. Then I had the confidence that I was almost like thinking, please give me an objection. I need to work on my skill set of handling objections because I don't get enough. Why wasn't I getting enough? Because of my demeanor in the home. When you sit down with an attorney or a doctor or somebody like that, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you're sitting down with them? They're in control. You're listening. Their demeanor. You say yes sir, no sir, whatever, right? When you're sitting with a doctor, he's the one asking questions because he's the professional or she, right? See, that's where you got to change your mindset. See, once you get to that point, your confidence level is that's where Deanna Cooper is. She basically says on this call, guys, she basically says, in my mind, I'm determining whether I'm allowing them to be my client.
Love it.
Well, what is that? That's a thought process that you need to establish. If you're dinkering around, worried about asking, strong questions, I'm just telling you, you're going to have a nightmare scenario going on. It's going to be a constant battle with you. That means you either don't believe in what you're doing or don't believe in yourself or something. There's some insecurities there. If you can't go into it confidently, there's some major insecurities there. Um, I remember, and John Barlow used to work for our company, and now he's with GPM, but um, he was in the field with me. He was in my agency way back when, and I took him out in the field. He had been in insurance, and I took him in the field with me, and he rode with me, and we went on a few appointments. We get into this house, and here's a guy with the wife beater shirt on, tattoo, Harley rider, sitting like this, right? And when we sat down, he goes, "Listen, listen, son, I'm not interested in any kind of spiel, okay? I just could get to the numbers." I said, "Well, thank you for that." I said, "Because I hate spiels. I'm not going to give you a spiel. I'm going to ask you some questions if I can help you, okay?" So I just went bit right back. So as I was going through a very basic presentation, trying to get some information, was there pain, talk about, their health issues, and two or three times during that process, and John's sitting there, the guy goes, because I told him at the beginning, I says, if we can find something that fits your needs and fits your budget, we need to submit an application for approval. And he says to me, "You can do whatever you want, but I'm not getting anything started today." I just looked at him and went, and I continued on. I didn't comment to it. I didn't start selling him on it. So two or three times during that presentation, he said, "I'm just letting you know, I am not doing anything today. I'm not signing any paperwork." And he has arms like this. And I never responded. So we get to the end, and I said, "Does that fit your budget?" He goes, "If it does or it doesn't, it's none of your business, but we're not getting anything started today." And I looked at the wife, and she goes, "Well, whatever he says," the meek little wife with the big strong guy, right? So, and I said to him, I said, let me just say it like this. I said, "Here's the problem, okay? You're probably thinking you're gonna go shop it around." "Well, that's my prerogative," or whatever he said. I said, "Okay, great. That's probably why you're not getting anything started today, right?" "You're darn right. I'm not gonna jump on the first thing that comes through the door." I said, "Okay." I said, "Let's put it this way. I encourage you to shop around. Go ahead. I mean, we'll get an application started, but I'm going to encourage you to shop around. Here's why. Okay. I dare you to find something better than what I have for you. In the meantime, we can get you approved and get you covered. You have diabetes, cholesterol, and you're slightly overweight. Okay. You'll find a better price, but you won't get approved. Not for that price. Go ahead. Go and get the cheapest price you can find. In the meantime, we'll have this policy in place. I said, "But I can get you this policy. There's not going to be there's not going to be an examiner coming over. You're not going to have an APS to your doctor. None of that stuff. Based on what you tell me, if you're not lying to me, I can get you this today for this price." And I just sat there, and he goes, "Let me go talk to my wife." Goes back, and John's sitting there going, "I can't believe the way you talk to this guy." so so he comes back in about 5 minutes later, and he goes, "Okay, we'll get this started. And then we're still going to shop around." I said, "Please do." I said, and so we're filling out the paperwork, and he hits me in the arm like this. He goes, "This is a good deal, isn't it?" I said, "This is an incredible deal for you. It really is." And you can go look. I want you to, encourage you to. After that, he's showing me his Harley. He's taking me around the house, wanting to know if we wanted to stay for a beer and all that, right? And where did that come from? I knew that he couldn't beat it. Okay. You guys have to understand the power of what we have, and how powerful it is, the different product line that we have. And once you have that in your brain, try to stop me. See, most of you are not at that level yet, right? That's why you're not doing the numbers that Deanna and Tanya are doing, and Connor Jones. They all are like that. They all already know that, right? That's why they can be that powerful. So I think that's where it starts, John. It's just the belief system. And then when that comes, handling objections is almost silly after a while, right? If you can't, if I, here's another way, and Tanya talks about it yesterday. One of the ways I was able to scale people, and this is something I learned in another sales process at one point. I don't sell people. I won't go in the house and sell anybody. I was doing takeaways all the time. Like if John Kite was giving me him and Han, he couldn't give me a reason why he needed to think about it, and I need to get back with him. I'd say, "John, let me ask you a question, just to save us all some time. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're definitely getting started doing something, and 1 you have really no interest. Where are you right now?" And go ahead and give me a number.
Probably say a 6.
Okay. Have a nice day. I'll see you later. This isn't going to work. I'm going.
Love it.
If it's 7 or over, say you're just say I'm an 8.
I would say 8.
What do we need to get to a 10 there, John? What do we need to do? And what they'll say most of the time, the price is a little high. This is a great way. Tanya Hughes uses it all the time. She said that the other day. She goes, I use it all the time. If they're a 7 or above, we're getting an app. If it's below a 7, pack my bags. In virtual now, you just say goodbye, have a nice day. It's a waste of time. So what you're doing is you're trying to select the right people. That'll ensure you've got somebody that wants the product. You're going to have less charge. I hardly had any chargebacks, you guys. I hardly had any cancellations. What did that come from? My demeanor, my confidence, the way I talked to people. They wanted to do business with me because I was confident in what I was doing, believed in what I was doing, and they trusted me. So, John, that comes from the 10,000 hours.
Love it. Love it. All right.
You want to do Mr. Chuck Poole?
Hot seat time. Chuck Poole.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, Bill, while Chuck's getting unmuted here, every single leader inside of Cornerstone, they cheer Chuck on because activity-wise, week in and week out, I mean, you saw his numbers on the OG Group Me. I mean, he puts in the time and he puts in the numbers. He understands that he needs to get an A-lead standing lead order. He's kind of working towards that. But he's always willing to jump on the virtual office. He's always willing to work in front of people, but he puts in the numbers. And so I'll turn him over to you, Mr. Bill.
Hey, Chuck, how you doing?
Good, good.
First question I had when I saw your numbers.
Yes, sir.
How many hours on the phone did you spend to get 653 dials?
12.
I've never dialed 653 times in a week. So that blew me away. That was the first question I had.
Well, that's what I had to do to get that many appointments.
Right.
That many appointments. So
yeah, no, I get it. The other question I have, and I'm going to be straight with you guys. This is one of those straight talks, guys.
Okay.
Of that time you spent on dials, appointments, etc., and 0 apps, how did that feel? Getting paid 0 for doing all that work.
2 different things. Number one, it sucked.
Yep.
But number 2, I just got myself in the mindset that I'm getting that much closer to something happening.
Okay.
And that was my hope and this week it's the corner's turned and I haven't set the world on fire. I've been sick for the last couple of days, but I haven't set the world on fire, but the corner turned. So
okay. Did you sell something then?
Yeah, wrote 3 this week so far.
Oh, well, there you go. So what goes around comes around. You obviously already know that, right? Because you're a little bit older, what, 41, 42, something like that?
58.
I'm just kidding you.
I can't believe it when I say that, but that's what I am.
Well, wait till you have to say what I say now at my age. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't like doing a lot of work and not getting paid because we're here to get paid. And we're here to help people. We are here to get paid. You can't stay in business because if you do what you do 3 or 4 weeks in a row like that, you're not going to stay around. You know that. My other thought was in the type of lead that you're looking at, are you buying them local to you or are you buying them because these are all face-to-face or are they you doing virtual?
I'm doing virtual. There haven't been any leads local to me or very
even the older ones
for a long time.
Even older ones?
Even older ones.
Okay. Where do you live?
In Westminster, Maryland, west of Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah, because the other thought I had, and that's why I wanted to ask you a couple questions, is you're probably better off with those numbers just knocking doors. You probably get more results face to face because people have a harder time saying no to you face to face. But you're not local, so you're dealing with that. Okay, got it. But let me ask you this. What did you learn then that you turned around? Why didn't you sell anything out of those 6 appointments? What was the excuses they gave you?
I had two of them that were too sick to do anything but guaranteed issue.
Okay.
And they didn't want to do that. One of them that just flat out didn't need it. He had several $1 million in the bank, and was convinced before we
How
started
did
the
you
appointment
how
that he
did you
didn't need it.
handle that guy?
How did I handle that guy? My approach with him was, that life happens. You could get sick tomorrow. You could
You're
get something.
selling.
What's that?
Wrong answer. You're
Okay,
selling
give me
him.
the right
You're
one.
selling him. Okay, you be him for a minute.
Okay,
Okay, I've talked to you, and then now you tell me what did he tell you?
man, I got $3 million in the bank. I don't need any type of insurance. I'm covered. I can pay my house off and do anything I need to do with that. Why I don't need insurance.
Why'd you put in the request?
Curious, I guess.
About what?
Well, my wife made me send it to tell you the truth.
Why?
She was concerned if something happened that the house would be paid off.
Mildred,
Well,
why did
she's
you
got all
why
these
did you send
resources
it?
to work with?
Why did you make him send it in, Mildred?
Can't pretend to be Mildred.
Was she there?
Yes, she was there.
Why did I would ask her? I could
So-
care less what he says.
And she kind of nodded and said the same thing he said.
Kinda
Repeated
nodded?
it back to me.
Kind of nodded.
She nodded. Okay,
Okay.
I shouldn't have said kind of, Bill. I'm sorry.
No,
She,
that's
she
okay.
nodded and said the same thing she had. We do have a lot of money.
Then why'd you send it in? Why'd you make him send it in?
The answer they gave back was we thought we had to because it was from the mortgage company.
It said that in the request?
And I asked that. I said, did it say that in the request? There's nowhere on. I
done
held
with
it
it.
up to
I'm
him. I
moving
said, there's
on.
nowhere on here that
If-
said you had to send it back.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not even talking to him. So it wouldn't even count as a presentation in my mind because I never even got to the pain. If you don't get to pain, you don't really have a presentation. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to get to. So if, in other words, when I'm sitting down talking to somebody, we make nice or whatever, and then I need to establish pain. And if I'm not establishing pain, I don't even count that as a presentation. They're not a legitimate candidate in the first place. Okay. The other thing is, he's got $3 million, he said, in the bank. In the bank? Nowhere else in the bank? Who has $3 million in the bank? They don't
I
even
should
have it in
dug
what,
deeper
a
on that.
CD? So then get better at the questions leading up to obviously getting to, because they could be a tremendous IUL candidate or annuity candidate. Tremendous. The reason it's in the bank is they don't trust anybody. Well, that's why the annuity's better than the bank. 10 times better than the bank. It's fully guaranteed where their bank money is $250,000 per bank. Horrible place to have your money. So prompting questions there would get you in that. So that's one. Tell me about the other ones. Were
Let's
you
see,
able to get the pain to all of them?
So I was able to get the pain on 3 of them.
Okay.
And 2 of them absolutely swore they couldn't afford it even if we got down to $25 a month. And one of them, the lady was making $1,500 a month and her mortgage payment was $1,000. So,
Okay.
but
All right.
again, and I asked her, well, then why did you send this in? Well, she said I was.
I'm done with that. If I can, I wouldn't even talk. There's no sense talking to him.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And maybe I shouldn't be counting these as presentations, but
I
that was
wouldn't.
people I
Yeah,
said.
I wouldn't.
That was people. So the ones that I did sell this week, there was a married couple, no kids. They are just concerned they're getting into their 50s. They're concerned that if something happened to one or either of them, that the other one that they couldn't handle it on their own, and they wouldn't be able to pay for the house on their own. So it was just, they sold me on it. They had already decided that they needed to do something. And then the third one was a single lady who was in her 60s that didn't have any coverage at all for anything, and again, she basically sold me on it. So,
I think you spent too much time, just my thoughts as they're looking at those numbers, too much time on that 100 stack. So that I wouldn't have dialed that 100 stack 653 times. I would.
Well, I got a lot more than that.
What's that?
I got a lot more leads than that.
Oh, it's just that I just saw the notes. It said 100.
Oh no, I only spent $100 last week on leads.
Okay.
And I'm up to 3 for this week, 300.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I've got a stack of over the last few weeks of a few hundred leads.
How many leads did you dial when, because it's 653? How many leads were in that pile that you dialed that were 653 times? You must be a glutton for punishment or something.
I didn't count that. I've been triple dialing everybody, Bill.
Okay, good.
So maybe that was 100 leads or 200 leads or whatever it was. But I go back a second time. I've been working on it in the morning and then going back and starting to stack over in afternoon, evening.
And hey, Chuck, these are incomplete IVRs.
And the $3 exclusive leads.
Okay.
And
Which $3 exclusive leads you talk about?
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I got allergies going on. What $3 leads? You said
The exclusive leads off of Lead Center.
Oh, are you doing any of the? I've heard some people talk about the Ethos leads as a pretty good lead too. The incomplete.
Just been watching what Claudia's been doing this week with them, and I just got some yesterday, and I got some more this morning. So
there's a lot of those. So I hear
Yeah.
a lot of people getting started on those until you can get to the point where you can start buying some other leads. Because I weaned myself on for about 30 days on older leads, and then once I realized I could do this, I jumped in, and I never looked back. I was doing A leads from that point on, and then of course leads fell apart in 08 and 09, and it had to go back to the old leads again. So fortunately, I'd cut my teeth on them already a little bit. Well,
Hey,
you
Bill.
definitely got the work ethic. I mean, what do you think you're struggling with in any case? You need to eliminate some of these people quicker and just move on.
Hey,
Okay.
Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take 7 minutes. And so Chuck, it looks like to me, looking at your numbers, that man, you're getting really good at booking the appointment, and it looks like you've got good show ratio. Can you treat me and Bill like a husband and wife? How do you start out your when you get us back on the phone for the presentations? Can you dive into just treat us like we're do you get them on camera or not on camera?
I get them on camera unless they don't have the technology to do it. I get them on camera 100% of the time.
Okay, so if we're on camera, you just go ahead and just treat us like we're Mr. and Ms. Martin.
Do you want me to start with getting you on camera, or do you want me to assume we're already on camera?
Just assume we're already on.
Yeah,
Okay,
assume
that's
we're-
fine. Mr. and Miss, I'm just going by John and Bill. Let's do it that way.
Okay.
So, hey, John and Bill, how are you doing this evening?
Good.
Good. Hey, the reason why that we're talking here this evening is I've got a form that you had filled out and sent back to us some time ago regarding the mortgage protection for your mortgage with Bank of America.
Mhm.
And this talked about the idea of protecting that mortgage if something were to happen to you. If you had a critical, chronic, or terminal illness, or became disabled, or if you passed away, that the mortgage could be paid and taken care of. So the surviving person doesn't lose the house and has a chance to keep it. And I'm assuming that's why you had sent this back. Do you remember the original reason why you sent it back? I know it's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while, I guess. I think we were just interested. Looking
Is
at
that still a concern for you guys? Is that something that you want to make sure that if one of you didn't come home one night or got injured at work or had a bad car accident, couldn't work for 6 months or a year? Is that something that you still want to see about taking care of, if possible?
We'll look at it.
Okay,
Sure.
that's fair. That's
Sure.
fair. Well, my job in this is just to provide you with the information on how this program works, and the way that we do this, and basically what this is it's an insurance policy, and the insurance policy, if you got sick or injured or couldn't work or you passed away, that based on depending on what you qualified for, the mortgage could be paid off, or maybe we set it up so you can make the mortgage payments for a lot of years. So is that something you might be looking for?
Hey, so let's pause it right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments, Bill?
Yeah. I'm going to get to one point quicker than what you're getting to, and if you don't get to it, okay, maybe you will. One of the things I want to establish right away, my job is to show you how all this works. Once you've established, you did a great job of going, this is the form you sent in. Do you remember doing that? I would ask them that, and they'd say yes or no or whatever. Okay, so my job, I just make so many assumptions. You got to make more assumptions. So
Okay.
my job is to show you how this works, okay? And
Okay.
find out if I can find anything that you can qualify for. I would use that word qualify right away. If we do, my job is to get the application into the insurance company to see if we can get you approved. I want that in the table as quick as I can get on the table. I've set that seed. Now let's do the other stuff, right? Let's talk
Yep.
about So what we'll do is going to go through it, show you exactly. We can do a short term, we can do a long term, right? We're going to go through that, and then you got to get to pain as quick as possible.
Mm.
You got to find out why the heck you're there. Okay.
And
Right.
that's my next step. But I understand.
Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
I figure you were going there, but I want you to get on the table quicker. What
Okay,
you're there to do and get it in their brain. You're going to be submitting an application.
just to condense that beginning.
And just okay, so 2 seconds on what I saw, and then you can comment, Bill. But when I sat down with a couple, okay, I wanted to establish myself as a field underwriter, not the life insurance salesman. Yep. I let them know that. So when he found out we were still interested, I really felt like Chuck went into sales mode.
Yep.
Like really, he started talking, and I don't know if that's his general cadence, but I will tell you, he lost me a little bit there because now he's selling me on, okay, so, one of the things that I always did, just following, you and Rob Jones, Bill, is that, I stayed low, slow, but I just let him know, hey, listen, my job, I'm not wearing a bow tie.
Yep.
I'm not going to be selling you life insurance. Hey, listen, you guys know why you filled out the form. You know what'll happen if one of you passes away. First thing I'm going to do is just see if y'all even need it. And I would say it just like that in that tonality. I'm just going to see if y'all even need it. I've got 3 basic questions. Number 1, I need to know income. Because if y'all don't need it, I want to be the first one to tell you, hey, you don't need me on the phone. But income, I want to talk about what you might have in place that would act as life insurance if you can't afford it or can't qualify. And number 3, I need you to be really honest with me about your health history. So, and if you have any existing life insurances. So, Bill, it was kind of my version of taking it away.
Yeah.
Because when they thought I was going to go into life insurance sales mode, man, I just kind of almost went backwards a little bit.
Yeah. I think of another case that happened to me, and I know how I would have handled it early on in my career as opposed to later. I sat down with a guy, and he was just very plain spoken. He says, I'm not interested in a spiel. Another guy, I'm not your spiel, your sales pitch. He goes, I'm just interested in buying a term life insurance policy. I said, okay. And he says, and I don't have a lot of time. I said, fair enough. I said, what are you looking for? And he told me, I said, if you can get me $100,000 for under $120 a month or whatever it was. I said, well, give me just a second. I got to ask you a couple questions, establish I could do it health-wise. Came up with $108. He goes, I'm in. Do you think I said anything else other than I need your social security number? Whereas I know other people might have started layering on to make it, whatever. I literally was with this guy for 15 minutes. It's that mentality. I'm here to take care of the problem, and you've got to be able to extract from them quicker, right? What's really going on in that house. So I agree with John, is a little bit too much selling. And that's a tendency for a lot of people. It's just get more to the point with a friendly demeanor. John's demeanor was perfect. Very friendly, right? I'm just here to do business and take care of your problem, right? That makes sense?
It does. It does. And to be honest with you, I think I let my audience intimidate me a little bit here.
That's fine. I mean, I understand. It's another hump to get over, right?
It's another hump to get over. So
yeah, it's a growth process. Nothing wrong with being intimidated as long as you do something with it, Okay. No, and with the 3 sales you made this week, I think that's the couple of things I would do a little bit more. And just like John said, just make it more plain spoken, kind of establish what you're there for pretty quickly. And then just let's find out if we can qualify for this. Deanna will tell you when you watch it tomorrow, she gets to the qualification of medications and stuff real quick.
Right.
I got to go. I got 29 other people to see today, kind of thing. Right?
Yep, absolutely. So,
any questions?
I don't think so. I think I got to keep going here. I got myself into a slump mentally for a little while and had to pull my butt back out of that. and that's kind of gotten and I've gotten going. So I've got the rollers rolling. I just need to put some more leads in and keep going what I'm doing. I need to make
Yeah,
up.
I would definitely look at the ethos leads
Yep.
for sure, but I would figure out a way to start diving into some A leads pretty quickly.
Okay.
Okay. There's
Yep.
no reason I mean, I don't know what your financial situation is, but don't be scared. You know, I remember the first lead order I had that was $800. We did not have the money. It took me about 3 hours to work up the guts to tell my wife there was $800 coming out of our account the next day. And we didn't know where the money was coming from. We figured it out. She got another advance on a credit card or something. I wouldn't recommend that lifestyle, but I knew that I was capable of selling those. And I knew we'd get the money back, which was what we did, right? So I knew myself, and you got to trust yourself. If you believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, you'll get it back.
So my thought process this week and next week was to sell as much as I possibly can and bank it up so that I can right after that start an A lead order, but have a little money set aside so in case I have a slow week, I got enough to cover it.
No, you invest immediately.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
You've got, I think you sent me a text. You've got some questions on starting an A lead standing lead order. Do you mind maybe asking it where Bill can comment?
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah,
so,
please do.
And that was one of my questions was, do I dive right in and get that order started, or my mindset was I needed to have a week or two. I started 10 A lead order. I really needed to have a week or two's worth of money sitting aside just in case I got I had a week like last week.
No, get started.
I started my and let me tell you. So just to echo what Bill just said. So I started my A lead standing lead order after hearing Bill give a talk on how to write 5,000 a week. And back then he gave the formula, and the formula, because when I started in August of 2016, a direct mail A lead, we didn't have IVRs at that time.
Right.
A direct mail A lead cost $50. Okay.
Yep.
So I had to get on it. I had to get at least 10 per week. This was pre-virtual, okay?
Yep.
10 per week. So that's $500. So Kim and I, you guys know my story. We had to borrow money out of Jay's checking account to pay a utility bill. I had about $500 limit on a credit card, and that's what I used to buy my first set of A leads. So when when you hear this stuff about, when I see these people that are long-term on these inventory leads on a 5 to 7% close ratio, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how to coach that, Bill, because it's like, number one, like you told Chuck, are you a glutton? Like, I don't understand why you're willing to dial a phone. Like, I wanted the best close ratio possible.
Yep.
And my experience in mortgage protection sales didn't change the close ratio.
Yep.
I don't know, Bill. You can comment on that.
No, the A leads are, I mean, you're using older leads as a temporary fix or a solution to a problem. They should not be a lifestyle, okay? There are some agents that are with us who don't mind doing that. I can't do it. I can't sit on the phone all day long. I can't do it
terribly.
I got other things going on. I'd rather be sitting in front of a warm body talking to them. Let's get this thing started. So that was my mentality. Time to me was worth buying. Okay, for me, I don't have time to waste with that kind of stuff. What you did, that I almost got violently ill reading your numbers when I saw 653 dials. I'm like, oh my gosh. I tried to get my 15 appointments. Chuck, this is a fact with A leads. My goal was to get 15 appointments on 100 dials.
Okay. I
used to do it almost right in there. Some days it would be 90 and other days it would be 140, but my goal was to try to do it at 100 on A lead flow. Okay? Think about how much more time you got in your life, my man. Right?
I got more time than I got money right now, but I want to change that.
And you know, virtual has its own close ratio. Okay, let's face it. We're in a time frame where if you are hell bent on working virtual, you've got to subscribe to virtual's closing ratio. It's just lower. I don't care how good a skill level
100%
you think you have. If it's lower for Tanya and Deanna, it's going to be lower for all of us mere mortals. Okay. But I will tell you, Bill, my A leads, when I got my stack of 10, every Saturday morning I'd make my dials. There was never a week I didn't book eight out of the 10. And the only reason I didn't book 10 out of the 10 is because, you know, maybe I couldn't get a couple people at home, or maybe every once in a while somebody would tell me, well, we just actually bought the home, we haven't moved in yet, and we're still kind of, you know, so some of my biggest objections that I couldn't overcome on an A lead was that I was getting in touch with the people too soon. But, you know, all of these objections that people get on inventory leads, I never got in my career because I only worked my own inventory leads. I didn't go buy inventory leads.
Yeah. And Deanna too, to the point of virtual and all that, she doesn't do a single video. All of hers are phone sales.
Tell us.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't waste time. Doesn't even, she goes, because you know what? 30% of the people I'd call would be elderly, and it was a struggle for them to try to get on the go. She goes, I didn't even mess with it. I just did it, everything by the phone. And that's why you create a really good phone voice. That's why I'm so strong on you got to work on your tonality, your posture, all of those things you have to work on to get to the point where you've got that good phone voice. Everybody can find it. You got to work at it, and some people have to work at it harder than others. You got to slow down, because I'm a very fast talker, people tell me, and I don't realize I am. So I had to really concentrate on slowing down and just go low and slow. But it was the demeanor, it was the delivery, and you got to listen to yourself. When I first recorded myself, somebody suggested I do that to listen to how fast I talk. I went, I wouldn't listen to a word I'm saying. I'd hung up the phone on me. So I had to redo it, call Cheryl, redo it, listen to it. Then I would ask Cheryl, I said, am I talking fast? She just goes, what a stupid question, Bill. Of course you're talking fast, you know? And so I'd say, how does this sound? Then I got it, and I'd get into this zone when I was making my phone calls. I would literally just get into this zone and focus. And I would just make appointments, man. I was just a machine when it came to that. Everybody can get there. You just got to put the hours and the time in.
So how many A leads would somebody start with typically? 10?
It's not typical because I don't know your situation. So on a virtual is different. I was doing 28 leads a week because I was getting 15 appointments a week. So I was getting 28. I was on a 28 lead standing lead order forever. Okay.
Yeah.
And there were times when I didn't get my 20 because it was on the counties I had selected. I have to go out and buy them off the shelf.
Sure.
So, but that was my standing lead order for years and years and years and years. Okay. But that's 15 appointments. So I think like Deanna probably gets 40 A leads a week.
Right.
Somewhere in that range, right? And you know, she pays for it. To her, it's just doesn't matter. I mean, you spend 3,000 and you get, you know, 12,000 coming in from your commissions. So.
Which I'm more than willing to do, Bill. I understand that concept. It's getting from A to B is been the hiccup, if you will. But
no, I understand. But you got to get there as quick as you possibly can. I would delve into it. Once you taste some A leads, you're going to go, wow. Especially where you've cut your teeth on these, it's going to be a game changer for you. It is for anybody. Okay.
Hey, Bill, real quick, before we go, I do see Jeremy Solis on, and he's you interviewed him last time.
Yep.
And Jeremy is part-time.
Okay.
But Jeremy's kicked some butt. Jeremy, you've written a couple of apps this past week, hadn't you?
Yes, I had written 2 yesterday, or not yesterday, but this past week.
I was kind of laughing a little bit, and I wanted to just recognize you in front of Bill because you know, you're the one that stated, "Hey, my income goal per month is around 2,000," and I was laughing because out of what you've written, you know, assuming everything's getting paid, like I think you're going to blow that number out of the water this month.
I hope I do.
So you got 2 submitted this week?
Yes.
Were they simplified issue?
Yes.
Good. Don't use the F word. fully
The NU.
underwritten. Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think I've written anything other than simplified
I
issue
mean,
for
not a
anybody.
mortgage protection, but I mean, I'm certainly on debt free for life and some other obviously things, estate planning issues or whatever, that you do get into fully underwritten. And then you're waiting 6, 8 weeks to get paid. So, but fully underwritten's the way to go.
Yeah. You getting paid, Jeremy? You getting these issued?
I got notified yesterday or like late last night that one of the ones that I wrote got declined, so I'm gonna have to call that client today.
Any
But
idea
I haven't
why
had
it
any
was declined?
issues.
Any
It was a
idea?
medication issue, is what it
Okay.
said.
Well, that's where you got to get really good. Are you, and this is out to everybody, you've got to be diligent about having them pull their medication, even if you're doing virtually, and have them tell you exactly what they're taking so you can then verify. Don't take anything for chance. Heck, there's so many people that take a medication they don't even know what it's for.
Hmm.
And that's
Well,
what that's all the underwriter sees.
this case in particular is it's a medication that's usually used for blood pressure that they're using to treat his PTSD. He doesn't have any heart issues, but that's the only thing that they're looking at.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Who'd you
And
write the
if you-
business? Who'd you write the business through?
That one was through American Amicable.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes if you know that, you can make a clarification in the application and they can
I did, but
didn't
I
matter.
guess it didn't matter.
Yeah, they're gonna want more information when you get one of those. All right.
All right. Bill Martin, thank you so much. Anything in closing?
No, like I said, just work on your confidence level, a little more boldness. I don't mean being a jerk. Don't take it that way, but your confidence level. Your confidence level is everything. People buy your demeanor and confidence. You're just assuming everything all along the way. Just like anybody else in any profession that you've ever worked with, somebody that knows what they're talking about, you have confidence and you just listen to them, you just listen to them. You go, okay, sounds good. Because they're buying that. That's what you've got to work on. Okay. It'll be a game changer for everybody.
Love it.
All right.
Love you guys. Love Cornerstone Group. Keep kicking butt, taking names, and look forward to seeing y'all soon. Bye.
See you guys.